Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please?
I see your social media, and it's just the most interesting stuff going on, and it's content that I actually want to see.
Oh, that's great to hear.
For real. Sometimes I find that, like, my content, when I'm doing it, I'm like, I know it's supposed to be content that people can learn from and enjoy.
Right.
And it's really hard.
Yeah, it is. And I'd been a realtor in the city for about 15 years. I've been a champion of the city for so long. And I just feel like I really got to know a lot of my clients along the way, what their pain points are, what are they loving about our city. So I kind of mishmash all of that into my social media. So I'm glad that you say that you like it, because I worked really hard on it.
It is a trip.
It is.
And it's definitely one of those things that it's expensive to send to somebody else, and they're not necessarily going to hit the mark on what you want. So it's like,
right,
it's hard to even give it to somebody else.
Yeah, I know. I actually do social media for my brokerage. We have a small brokerage in Regina, JC Realty, and I do my own page as well. So I get your struggles, because I'm there a lot. But I just found that, like, what do I want to hear? What did I need help with? What am I seeing my clients needing help with? And that kind of just works on its own, and I find the topics that way and just try to resonate with how can I help my fellow follower, I guess.
Well, and I actually have to say, in my opinion, when I'm watching you, I know you're saying you're doing what you think your followers enjoy, but I can sense from watching you progress through your career,
yes,
that you're actually doing stuff that you enjoy.
Yes.
So this isn't just like
not just
us,
for them. No.
And that's why it's so authentic, and that's why I love it. Like when you did a video, excuse me, with your kids' hats and all of the sports stuff, right? It wasn't just like what we enjoyed. Like we all were there with you,
yes.
and like, but you had this like gross factor about it that we knew you were enjoying it too. I don't know what it was, but I really felt that, and I'm appreciative of what you do.
So what Kathy's talking about is, if you follow me on Instagram, it's just Jessica Dunn YQR. I do a lot of home tips, living with less, and just like general things to help take care of the things you own. And she was referring to one of my reels that I did about laundry stripping. So if you've never done that before in your life, I highly suggest you do. But yeah, it's just a general tip of how to clean hats. But like, yes, I wish sometimes Instagram had like smell-o-vision, not maybe in that instance, like maybe cooking and stuff. But like, yes, it was just like I was kind of taking you on a journey that I was going through as a busy, crazy mom, like going through a bunch of stuff and just like taking a moment to like take care of the things that I own. And I think that's what really resonates, and why my things are really well watched is I feel like everybody is kind of craving simplicity right now. And it kind of like really took me in a crazy, I've kind of always been a minimalist and a declutterer myself, but I really took it to the next level over COVID, just because we were all home and
we had
dealing
the time.
with it.
Yeah.
And I've helped hundreds of people a year get their homes ready for sale. And I know every single person, we all have too much stuff. And I don't think people understand the connection of like owning so many things to how overwhelmed and stressed and how it impacts our mental health. And I felt like I think there's something here. And it definitely is with me, so there's got to be for other people.
So do you find the more you purge your things, the lighter you feel?
Absolutely.
Is that kind of the sense?
Yeah, the average person or average family has over 300,000 items in their house. So could you imagine just think about that for a quick second, that like you have to manage and clean and take care of and remember where all these things are. Like, it's just like, it's insane. And we just kind of like skyrocketed to the amount of, because it's so easy to consume right now, right? And not everybody has been taught how to properly let go either. So when you have too much coming in and you can't let go, there's like, if you're looking at my hands right now, if you're seeing this on YouTube, you'll see it, but like this Venn diagram gets to be too much. It's like a volcano where you will start to see some actual symptoms of burnout, exhaustion. I find that when my physical environment is clear, I feel lighter.
Definitely.
I am more productive. I am a better problem solver. I just have the capacity to deal with harder things. You know, like I don't really care about 57 coffee cups, right? Like there's just so much more in life that I needed to be present for, and I can't be when I have so much stuff in my house. Mm-hmm. So people were watching me do this little bit by little, and I just kind of almost did like an umbrella kind of, I don't know, I want to call it a company, but it's a side service of JC Realty to really help people downsize or declutter and really get to the root of why they're consuming in the first place. Because I want people to love their homes. I want people to enjoy their homes for a long time as well. And sometimes when you overstuff it, you feel like you're too tight and you got to move, but really actually you just have to let some things go and have a little bit more organization.
So what's the process of that? So I, for instance, have aging parents.
Right.
And you know what? They got that big house. It's time for them to call Jim up and say, hey, I want to get my house on the market.
Right.
And then what happens from there? Do you go into the house? How does this work?
Yeah, generally, I guess it's going to depend on how hesitant those aging parents are. Yes. If they're ready to rock, I usually come in, give them like a consult of what to start with. But if you have some parents that are very reluctant, which is usually the case, or like we put it off for way too long and now we got to do something faster than we want to, that's where I can come in and give you some hands-on help. Usually it's just like, how do I start? I'm so overwhelmed. You've accumulated over 40 years of things. Like I don't even know where to begin. There's such intense emotional connection to these material items. Yeah. And they probably are this is like probably the biggest transition of their lives.
Huge emotion.
And it's not just moving to a different house. You are cutting their lives in half almost, from like 1,000, or probably from a 1,500 to 2,000 square foot house down to maybe an 800. So that's a huge transition for anybody, let alone an aging parent. So we really come at it with a lot of compassion, and we don't like to throw a house up on the market instantly. We like to take that time, work out a plan. Maybe I'm there a couple more times. We maybe connect with a transition service like Bluebird that comes and helps sell some things. So there's a lot of different moving parts to it, but I think the first thing is just to give us a call and we can like start to work through the process. I know we've helped a lot of senior ladies that don't even have family here at all, and how are they supposed to do this, right? So we've helped them. Maybe they think that they're going to move in 6 months, but we were helping them and got them ready in 2 weeks. So it's just an extra set of hands. Yes. Almost like I'm like you're hiring like an extra daughter that understands how this stuff impacts.
You're probably more gentle too. I find when I was just on a walk the other day with a friend, and she's going through this, and we walked by a garage sale, and they were actually, I'm not sure if it was Bluebird or not, but it was a company that was helping this family, downsize, and they were talking about how emotionally heightened everybody feels during this time, and maybe a actual outside party is easier for them to work with because even the kids are connected to these things, so it's hard for them. So everybody is emotional in that moment. Right. So maybe somebody outside even is better.
It is helpful just because you organize and think of things that are garbage differently than your parents are,
100%.
And vice versa. So you can't understand why they can't just let go a pack of collection of spoons. You're like, why are you ever going to need this? But it's a completely different connection for your parents. And then you'll start to get frustrated, and then it'll just...
Totally.
And then the whole process just gets paralyzed, and it's just put down to a halt, because then they're overwhelmed and they no longer want to proceed. So
their brain stops.
They're done.
This.
Yeah. So I would suggest small, tiny chunks. Do this as soon as possible. Don't wait until you have to move. Start to sift little things. Do the junk drawer. Do your Tupperware drawer.
Yes.
Like just do little bits at a time. So when it is time to move, it's not so daunting. I think I've been in this industry for a long time, but the hardest real estate transactions are the ones where we have to sell a house ASAP because mom's not coming home because she just had a stroke. Right. Or there's just there's no way she's coming back, and we need to sell this fast. And we walk into a house and it is full. And that family member is so stressed at that point, or even if it's an estate sale. You know, can you imagine going through this when you're grieving? You have a whole nother life. You probably have kids, a job, and like everything happening on this side. And now you're going to deal with a 1,500 square foot house that is packed to the nines.
300,000, did you say?
300,000 items.
Oh my God.
And you don't know what your parents loved. You don't know what's valuable.
That's what I was thinking.
You don't have the time to sift through it all. But it's got to get done, and all in the meantime you're grieving.
Ugh, it's like
it's the hardest thing.
And then you step in there, and you're like, "Hi guys,
I'm here to help." But they're like, "Ugh." So I feel like if you can even just start having the conversation, and like not even just, I know like some people are like, "You're not getting me out of my house." I hear that all the time, and we're not saying you have to, but you can downsize your house even when you're inside it.
Totally.
You can start sifting through your things. You can start automating bills. You can start to do many things.
Well, and that's also just you don't even have to be moving out of your house to declutter. When you were talking about the Tupperware, I was like, oh, geez. If you saw all the sour cream containers in my thing, oh, my God. But another thing about it is I think some of us aren't familiar with how to get rid of stuff. So, like, when I was growing up, we had siblings. So we would hand things down, and then that would go to, like, you know, your cousins or whatever. So my kids' stuff, I'm pretty good about that. But, you know, I have to say all the other stuff in my house, I don't know what to do with it sometimes. Right. So what's your suggestions?
Okay, there's a few things. So letting go is no joke. It's like sometimes people have such hard time letting things go because they were never taught how to. Yes. They may have a scarcity mindset where maybe they grew up that way where they didn't have a lot to have. And a lot of, I'd say, my grandma's generation was very much like that. They like reused tinfoil. Like they were like
food hoarders.
The point. Yeah, they're like literally reusing things 8 times. Yes. I do like the fact of repurposing things, but there's certain times where we don't need to, like, we can start to let things go when you have 37 coffee cups, for instance. So I kind of use a process called, I call it the Dunn method because I didn't know any other word to use.
The Dunn method. I love this. I'm going to refer to this Dunn method. Okay, let's hear it.
Okay, so these are for things that are like not non-attachment things, like cookie sheets, linens, forks, cups, just things that like there's no attachment to. Things. So when you are a senior or whether you have a family of 4, you can really start to think about, okay, how many of these do I need before I get to the next wash cycle? Okay. And so this is really good for towels. Like just try towels for one thing. So your linen closet's probably stacked to the nines, full of sheets, face cloths, towels, but you really only need how many? Because there's so many probably stuffed back there for years. And you're like, oh, I need this just in case. Well, you probably don't. So I would really watch that. Like be a little social detective in your house and try to figure out some of these things. I think I'm going back to the coffee cup thing because it really resonates with me. I had almost 27 coffee cups. I don't even drink coffee. What? Okay. So why am I holding on to these? I don't host brunches. I don't have tons of people over for coffee. Wine, maybe. Not
27
coffee.
people?
Not 27 people at a time. Never. So we're down to 6.
How did it feel?
Amazing.
And what did you do with those other 21?
Okay, so this is the next piece of the letting go. So I feel like people feel like they need to keep it because they're going to need it just in case. But guess what? There's so many people in our community that need it. Honor those things. Yes, okay, maybe you bought that coffee or those cookie sheets and you barely use them. Get the guilt out of your head and give it to somebody that absolutely needs it. I can't tell you the amount of charities in our city that were hit so hard during COVID, so many hurting people in our city that need your stuff. So tons of places in Regina to donate to. So honoring those things and giving it to somebody that needs it more than you.
Let's dive a little deeper. I know that JC Realty, I've seen on social, lots of involvement with the community. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm assuming maybe you might be a little bit involved with that. Can you dig in a little? Because it is actually very inspiring at Christmas time and during those times of the year where, you know, the less fortunate really do need a bigger helping hand. I've really seen you guys step up. Yeah. I'll let you talk about it because I could talk more and I know you know more.
Oh, no. Well, giving back to the community has always been like one of our flagship values that we love to give back to the community that we work in. We are so privileged, like beyond privileged, to help out any way we can. But we like this last few years, we like to like connect our clients, our community, our followers to places they may not have even known even existed, or why the need is so big. For example, we did a lot of work with community fridges the last few years. That is a really hard place to drop off food, but it's very eye-opening. And lots of work with the Y. We've been really big partners with the YWCA. And just like over the years, we've done toy drives for the kids in inner city schools and helping with kids in transition that are going through foster care. A lot of people had no idea that was even a thing. And so that was really touching too. But I think we all, as Regina citizens, have a duty to give back instead of complaining. I don't know if I can swear on this show, but stop. You know the word I'm trying to say here.
Yes,
but
I
stop
completely
complaining
agree.
and like get your hands dirty and give back. I feel like Saskatchewan is so good at volunteering and helping out, and we are so exhausted and tired and burnt out from just life in general. But we need to step up and help in little ways.
I agree. And I feel when you do step up and do those little things, it actually brings you a little more energy and a little more joy in your life. Every time I volunteered, there's maybe a bingo or two I've not enjoyed. But for the most part, I walk away feeling a sense of like purpose, and it's very good for myself included in those moments. So
yeah, absolutely.
A little selfish.
Yes. So many places could use help, whether it's not, if you don't have money, doesn't matter. You can go and donate your time or just spread awareness. And that's what we do a lot on social media. That's maybe why you're seeing it a lot, is anytime Carmichael Outreach needs something, it's posted. Anytime the Y needs something, anytime we see like the El Richie community fridges need something, we are posting it. It's just
so how can other businesses do the same thing so that we can get the word out even further?
I feel like even just starting small and picking something that really resonates with you and you can really see the need. We found like working with the food banks and the community fridges, like that was really, it hit home for all of us. We all have families, and seeing how much of a need the food was for us made us want to act instantly. So I feel like, the businesses in the city could step up and help out. They do, a lot of people do, but it doesn't need to be a massive $10,000 check. Maybe it's just you getting a group together to go serve a meal at Souls Harbor, So,
and I'm sure labor these days is hard to find.
I think every day they're looking for help there. So yes, just go find something that you connect to and resonate to, and because that's going to fill up your cup and your soul, and you're going to want to do it more, and it'll snowball, and hopefully more and more people in your community will do it too.
I 100% agree. So I want to take us back to Jess back when she's like 18.
Oh, God.
Because I don't know a lot about you. Before, I have to say, I have gone through the process of selling a house with you and Jim, and it's been wonderful. Mind you, I was, always pretty motivated to get my houses up on the market. But when you were 18, was that your goal? Was to work in the real estate agency?
Absolutely not. No, not at all. But working with the community was. I have a degree working with people with intellectual disabilities, and I have a minor in psych. So that's my first job right out of university. I worked at Special Olympics for a while, and it was so rewarding. I love it. I still have some connections there. That's been forever ago. I don't even want to tell you how old I am. But yeah, that's where I started. But giving back to the community and helping was always in my bones. I'm from a small town. Yes, I'm a small town girl. I was born and raised in a little town called Vibank. It's not even a town; it's a village. So again, in order to get things done and in order to do things, we had to volunteer, and I think that was just always it was just always ingrained in me. So when real estate kind of crept up and I had the opportunity to jump in on it, I did, and I kind of flip it, and I'm almost like a psychiatrist in some ways too, where I'm helping with there's so much going on. It's intense. It's a really busy, stressful time. So having somebody that can understand where you're going or how you're feeling and what you're doing, and pushing you through to the silver lining, I guess, is always a big reward for me.
I imagine.
Yeah.
So takeaways, when you're working with people in these situations, whether they're excited to be moving, which I know is like such a great feeling. I love that feeling. And then, you have the apprehensive people that maybe aren't into it or whatever. What are your takeaways when you're in these situations, when you walk away from the situation that you've learned through this like career with real estate that you've brought to your home in your life? Like, I'll let you answer.
Like, do you mean like how have I brought decluttering into like, people's lives? Okay,
in your own life.
In my own life, yes. Oh, yes. For sure. I remember the first time because I also stage houses too. Like I use their own stuff usually, and just kind of like make it juju it up a little bit for the wow factors.
New fresh eyes.
Yeah, but the majority of the time I'm decluttering. I'm taking stuff out of the picture, and when people get their pictures back or they see it for the first time since I've had like my touches in it, they're like, oh my God, why haven't we been living like this the entire time?
Do you ever have people not wanting to move and just stay?
Absolutely. Yes. Oh, I can't even tell you how many times like, oh, I like that. Like, is this our house? Damn.
I don't want to move anymore.
The comment has happened, but we never like change somebody completely, but
love it or list it style, right?
Exactly, right. But it's just like it's so powerful just having that visual of like how good they felt when they walked back into their space. Like, oh, this feels so big and spacious and calming, and all I did is really make it look a little more cohesive, made it more spacious, like taking out a chair or two maybe. And maybe it's just taking out all the little tchotchkes and little things that were really like for. Yeah, sometimes.
I like those little
I do too. But there's, for sure. But yeah, there was just like, that was like a really big ding, ding, ding moment for me. I'm like, well, okay, so there's something here. Maybe we could be doing that at home too. So just before COVID, I actually did my whole house because I was a busy mom and I felt like I wasn't being very present in the moment just because I had so many mundane tasks to constantly have to do over and over and over again. And I felt like if I had less stuff, I can handle it better. So I did. I was, again, a little social detective. I was experimenting. My family was like the guinea pigs. And we figured out from room to room, like what was needed and what was efficient in the kitchen. I almost treated my house like a little business. So my kitchen became like my little restaurant. What were the efficiencies? What was I wasting? What things do I need? How are my kids eating? Why are we eating? And really honed in on like how we were spending money on food, how we were wasting food. Like that was an incredible experience. And I actually developed that into a course. Wow. Which was huge because food inflation has been insane.
It is.
And like people have to get a handle on how we spend money, but also we need to get a handle on how we're wasting food.
So tell me more about this. I'm really interested. I'm an avid gardener. So
that's amazing.
I've done it since university. Mm-hmm. Like definitely it's like my favorite thing to do in the morning with my coffee, check out all the plants. And I know that definitely helps with like, food inflation. But tell me about like some tips you have on how you can save, because I certainly use it.
Everybody can use some help with saving. I think I needed some visual tools in order to really see what I was doing. Because, like, again, not living in the present. I remember this one pivotal moment where I was racing home from school or from work, picking up the kids late. They got to get to extracurriculars, and we forgot to take something out for supper. So I'm like ripping open the fridge, and like boom, this pungent smell of rotten food hits me.
Wasted.
So like bags of salads and lettuce that were never even eaten, and I was like tossing it into the garbage can, and I was almost equating it to like tossing dollar bills into the garbage can, and it made me physically sick. Not just because of the smell, but like my girls were watching me do this. I'm like, this is not okay with me. Like something's got to change. So I really started to track how much I was spending on food, like for real. I just did food, not my entire life. I just focused on food. I focused on what I was throwing away. I was writing that down and putting a dollar sign beside that to show. Yes, it was insane. It was an obscene amount of money. I think the average Canadian family throws out 140 pounds of food a year or something like that. It's astronomical. Like $1,300 worth of food, I think, is just going into the garbage. So that was like my biggest, like knowing how bad food scarcity is in Regina, and I'm just throwing away food in the garbage, like that was not okay with me. So that was like the whole piece of why I did the Kitchen Crasher. So that was a really big piece. And then I was watching, okay, why are we throwing out so much food? I was cooking too much, or we weren't planning properly, or my kids' portions were way smaller than what I was cooking for. Like, so I was looking and seeing all these different things. We eat differently. My kids are grazers. My husband's like 3 square meals a day. So it was really interesting to see how that panned out. And I was just being more present in that. So the course really covers all of that. It covers meal planning, which is another huge piece.
So where can we find this course?
So you can go on my website. It's just athomewithjess.ca. And there's a Kitchen Crasher course there. There's one about you're cleaning out your closets that tackles impulse buying, which is a huge, huge issue for most of us. Or you could take them both, and it's all virtual. Do it in your bed if you want to,
nice.
And self-paced.
At the end of it, the goal is to be more resourceful with our food, and our closet will be organized.
Yes, it will be
I
organized.
like both of those. I need them.
It'll really hone in on why you're bringing clothes in it in the first place.
Probably save more money too that way too.
Significant amount of money. I can't even. The first year I implemented the Kitchen Crasher, I saved $5,200 that year on food, just food. It was insane.
And were you eating better afterwards too?
Significantly, yeah. Eating so much better, less garbage coming in, and like less eating out as well.
Definitely, eating out is a huge thing for our family. And when you were saying we weren't organized, that is something that I really can on a Saturday afternoon, oh shoot, what's for supper? And it's so easy these days to just pick up and get something delivered to your house, but it is so much more money and so not healthy. So
that's true. Yeah,
it is good to
there's going to be days you're going to need to, like, there's days where we got to rip to Subway. There's no way I'm getting food on the table, and you just have to build that in. But I think the issue is the decision fatigue. Like, at 5 o'clock rolls around, nobody wants to decide what they want for supper. Like, nobody does. Like,
we all made too many decisions throughout the day. That's a really
you made
good
hundreds
point.
of decisions of the day. The last thing you need, like, on your plate is, what are we making for supper?
Yeah.
What are you going to make that your kids aren't going to eat anyway?
Also chicken fingers and fries.
Oh my God.
So have you ever tried like those boxes that come to your house with like just the meal and making it?
I haven't, but there's a really good appeal to it, I think. And I think it depends on the size of your family, if it's worth the money or not. I feel like I'm going to have to go to the grocery store anyway, regardless if I get those boxes. So for my family, it probably wouldn't work. But if you are a very busy person and you're not eating healthy and you're grabbing food from like the restaurant all the time anyway, this is really great because it takes that decision fatigue out and you're bringing it right there. It's boom, boom, boom. That's half the battle, is that decision making.
And knowing how to do it. I find like the explanation on what to cook with and stuff.
It works.
Definitely helps if you didn't grow up in that family that showed you how to cook.
Oh, for sure. If you are learning how to cook, it's so fun. Or if you're in a rut and you just need like some inspiration and you're like, I don't know if I want to buy all these ingredients because I don't know if I like it. So that's another thing. Like, a lot of these ones have like really awesome recipes, but it only gives you a bits and pieces of the ingredient, which is great because now you don't have like
waste.
A giant bag of fennel that you're never going to use again or something, right? So.
Yeah. Before we end, we just have a couple more minutes. I did want to just mention something that I thought was about food banks and how there's food scarcity in Saskatchewan, where we're like the bread belt of like Canada. And we don't have people that have food. It doesn't sit well with me when we have all of these people here that are making the ingredients of food surrounding our city. So I saw the food bank a while ago got some like wholesale grain, or was it peas or something? I think it might have been peas. And I thought that's so smart that a farmer's dropping off their extra produce to the food bank. And I just hope more of us are able to do that sort of thing, because I really hate to think that people can't have food on their plates, like here.
Yeah.
Here.
If you have a ton of stuff in your garden this year, go take it to the community fridges, because they will take it.
Great idea.
They'll take it.
Oh my God,
throwing it in the garbage.
Yes. I'm going to have a lot, I think, this year. I planted
all your lettuce, like, just go give it to the fridges.
That's a wonderful idea.
Wash it, put it in a Ziploc bag, put it in there. They're able to gladly take it. So.
Good idea. Good idea. Well, I can't thank you enough for joining us today.
Well, thanks for having me.
What you're doing is wonderful for our community, and having people like you that can make content that we want to enjoy on our phones is also wonderful as well. So thank you for what you do and having passion in your life and bringing it out every day. And, you know, I think there's a lot of, you're very brave to do that. And
oh my gosh, you're going to make me cry, Kathy.
I'm not trying to make you cry. But I genuinely mean it. Like,
Oh, thank
you know,
you.
you rock.